Moving on to the next session, we have Mr. Mandar Bhide, Technical Solutions Lead, Data Management and Data Protection, APAC at Hitachi Vantara. Brace yourselves for the unveiling of the Hitachi Vantara Road to Hybrid Cloud. This promises to be a compelling presentation exploring the future of hybrid cloud solutions and the innovative possibilities that lie on the horizon. Over to you, Mandar. Please let's applaud for Mandar for this great innovative solution that he's going to talk about.
Hey, thanks so much for that introduction. And we are still in the morning. No, it just crossed afternoon. So good afternoon, everyone. This session is a little bit got extended because of a wonderful panel discussion earlier. I think most of us got some insightful into the industry verticals, how the data-driven and the AI is changing our day-to-day life in today's modern digital world. A quick introduction about myself. My name is Mandar Bhide. I am from Pune. I am based in Pune. I do cover our regions, typically India and Asia Pacific, from our technology perspective. I am with Hitachi Vantara for almost 16 years now, 16 plus now, and almost 32 years in the industry. So I have seen how the things have changed. And all these discussions, what we saw, I think one basic thing I just understood, I think a lot of people here do not know what Hitachi Vantara is. I think it's a perfect platform, and that is setting a stage for me to actually introduce you. Whatever we have learned or saw today, what do we have to offer you, right? So how can we collaborate together to get the outcomes that you may be looking for into this new digital world and digital transformation, I should say. I mean, a lot of noise and a lot of discussions are happening about digital transformation, data-driven. One interesting topic came up on data richness versus data-driven. Very, very important. I mean, people are still not very clear on what is the difference. How do we deal with all these things and why? First of all, why is all this? We are into IT, everybody is in IT. We are working for our companies for providing the required services to the business applications. But how do we transform? What are the technologies available and how do we collaborate? That's the main intention. Again, acceleration innovation, we have a lot of discussions on the cloud. Again, still people are confused whether it's a good idea to go into the public cloud or not. What are the things happening? We have seen cloud burst. People are now repatriating back to on-prem. But what are the right approaches? So that's what all we are going to see. Again, I want to keep it at the level so that it's an introduction. Probably this could be a starting point for you and Hitachi Vantara to continue our discussions going forward. So maybe we can't cover everything in one day, in one session, right? So this all starts with the promise. The data fuels the innovation. I think, is there anybody who doesn't agree that all of us want data to be utilized to make business decisions? No. There is a lot of data growth happening, everybody knows. Probably initially the data collection was mostly from the human inputs, what used to happen in MIS, EDPs and whatever we had, right? Real machine took over the manual data collection in probably 2016-17, where this machine generated data started growing a lot. Today it is more onto the media, social media. One of the major things which is happening today is the sensors and IoT. You have, everything is now smart world that we are talking about. Whether you had a smart factories, process manufacturing, automation, maybe like your air conditioners are now having sensors. They go and build whatever depending on our atmosphere, how many people they will adjust their vents. It's all IoT data. And now the biggest thing which is coming today is AI/ML. So the analysts are talking about, if you say sensor and IoT, the total market turnover is going to be in trillions of dollars in IoT world. There are another analysts project the AI/ML acquisition and spend by organization in AI/ML is going to be in hundreds of billions of dollars. So that's how it is very, very important, these topics, right? And that's how now it comes to how we as an organizations are adopting to these new technologies, right? So digital transformation is no way that nobody can accept. It is a must for everybody. But what is digital transformation? How should we accept or adopt it? Again, it's a simple. Digital transformation is for business. It is for setting up the right infrastructure, right services, right acquisition of data and using of data for running the business applications. It's simple as that. But that's a journey. It is not straightforward because we see erosion of data, lot of sources of data, how to use it, how to monetize it. Monetization of data becomes extremely important. So the successful digital transformations will lead the market. It's undoubted today, right? That's all it's happening. So best and important thing is application drives this digital transformation. So it has to be in one of these four pillars that are key important for taking the right journey, whether it's a cloud or whatever the infrastructure. Data is not in a data center anymore. It can be anywhere. So the hybrid cloud is what is the way going forward. You can have some data on-prem, some in a public cloud, private cloud, blah, 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 different places. So important is to how do you really have a right cloud journey. Every organization is not escaping. Nobody is escaping from this. So first pillar is evolve the modernized apps. So your infrastructure, everything is for your business apps. So you have to take a right decision of acquiring the right platforms, right infrastructure, so that the data services can be run on top of it. Important is data insights. If you go back to 10, 15, 20 years ago, organizations were struggling to get data. How do I make decisions? Where is the data? Now it's exactly opposite. You have so much data around. How do you think, what is right for me? How do I, again, the discussion came up, the quality of data. You generate millions records. But what is important? How do you know? And where do you keep it? How do you make it safe? Because you cannot identify which data is good or bad unless you put analytics on it. You don't know. You have to keep all the data. But where do you keep it? Cost optimization is important. How to get the data, how to store it, what infrastructure I need, what servers I need, what platforms I need, what application layer I need. We talked about what tools we need. So how do you decide what is good for you? Again, it all depends on what your outcomes are. You have to choose the right infrastructure, right models, right tools to do all these things. And of course, that all depends on the platform operational coherency. The platforms you choose, whether it's infrastructure platform, the middle layer platform, database platform, Kubernetes, whatever, containers or virtualization, whatever you need it has to align with your applications. What is right for that? So typically that's what the 4 pillars of every cloud journey that we have to see. Again, something should be on-prem because of the compliance reasons. You cannot go every data out. You need to have on-prem. But you cannot have everything on-prem. So you need to adopt something, some hybrid cloud or some public cloud. I think everybody in some way using public cloud, no doubt about it, right? Everybody is using it. But everybody is also using something inside. You may have servers, you may have core sites, your branch operations, your factories, you may have data centers. So data lies everywhere. So typically when any organization, what are the top? I mean, why people are now talking a lot about whether you want repatriation, do you want to come back from cloud on-prem, what data needs to keep cloud? Because there are challenges. What are the money? Finally, it comes to hard money, how much you are going to spend and where. How do you make sure the security is important? How do you make sure that what are the data, is it in the compliance, it is not getting leaks? Now you're seeing the data getting leaks. Whenever you form something, you fill up a form, you start getting phones or e-messages, but it means the data leaks are happening. Then ransomware attacks. The cyber attacks are happening everywhere. How do you make sure the data is securely put in the platforms and the platform that you are using is giving you peace of mind in security? So there are, again, these are the publicly available things about the challenges, and everybody has to think about these. So let's come back to what Hitachi has to offer now, because these are all background settings and we know that the challenges exist. People want to modernize. People have no reason now not to go for it. You have to think as a mandatory things for this. So our views and focus, we typically go into multiple four. I have just listed 4. People do adapt one or more depending on their choice, depending on their priorities. And all of them are available with Hitachi Vantara to offer. First is modern cloud infrastructure. What kind of infrastructure is required for your platforms? Whether you need to have monolithic type of applications where you need to have that server storage networks to put your data and application on it, whether you need to want to go for a converged and hyper-converged type of infrastructure, a server heavy or a storage heavy, how do you want to do that? Whether you want to go with, say, virtualization platform or a containerization platform. So all these modern cloud infrastructure that you need to have, whether you want to go with the VMware Cloud Foundation kind of thing, or you want to go with Azure Stack, whatever you need to select. So Hitachi has tie-ups with that. We have joint services that can allow you to put your and have a right infrastructure laid as per your application need. Second is modern applications. Everybody wants to go to the cloud native kind of infrastructure. Why microservices is required? Because it helps you to transform as quickly as possible. In a monolithic application, it is very impossible. If you are using mainframes in the past, how much time it took for organizations to move away from mainframes to open systems. But now if you want to go from open systems, Unix world, how many people are using Unix now? Very few. But now you are moving to virtualization. Now in the virtualization, again they said, no, why should we have so many servers? We'll go on a microservices based. Now we'll go in the containerized way, which is more appropriate. So you have to modernize your applications now. But to modernize application, do you need to have a right ecosystem in place? Do you have right plugins from the infrastructure perspective that will give you a quick provisioning of resources for your applications? So that's typically having the modern applications and using infrastructure to adopt to your changes to the modern applications. Cloud extension, important topic again, whether you want to go with public cloud, whether you want to go with on-prem, where do you want to go? Okay, you can have on-prem, but I don't want to go into public cloud. So you have now CSPs, cloud service providers, or we used to call the data center providers, now they are called cloud service providers. So they may have the local data centers as the shared resources, where you can have primary in your data center, you can have secondary copies onto their data centers, so that you can offload it, but purely it's like a private cloud for you, where they are offering the public services. You can extend. Now, you may want to have something onto the cloud. So you need to have those kind of applications. Again, so some part of the data you can put into the public cloud. When it comes to your archival requirement, you have a compliance where I need to keep my data. So for example, we were talking about medical health care. So they need to retain the records. Insurances, they have to retain the records. I'm sure the manufacturing also has some compliances to retain, but you can't keep that onto the primary storage. You still need that cloud extension. How do you move the data around? It should be available to move the data around. Whenever you need it, you can get it back. And of course, edge to cloud services. This is no escape again. You cannot have a single monolithic architecture in your main data center and every client is connecting there for remote access. No, then you don't get that SLA performances. So you need to have something in your edges where you have offices. They do their local data processing. They will connect to your core, which is your main data center, where your repositories are there. And now you keep your present data there and have your longer term retention data in the public cloud. So the edge to core to cloud. So that transitioning is also important. So we have all these areas that we can offer to our customers. So that's what all Hitachi Vantara has to offer you. So next again comes into, okay, what is it called? So next slide, we'll talk about what are the solutions and services and products that make the solution services available from Hitachi Vantara. So Hitachi Vantara is your full infrastructure provider, whether you go with any kind of a model that you want to adopt, whether it's on-prem, you want to go with bare metal, you want to go with virtual, you want to go with a combination of bare metal and the virtual environments, including containers. So we have tie-ups at the bottom level. If you see here, on the bottom level, we have the rock solid foundation, which is the physical infrastructure that can be residing either in your environment, or it could be a service provider, a CSPs or a hosting company, or we also have a software defined stuff with our IP, which can be residing onto the cloud. And you get the same data services across all these environments. So at the bottom, we have our physical infrastructure. We have tie-ups with all these middlewares like a VMwares, whether it's a Red Hat, whether it's a container platforms, Kubernetes. So we do have these direct plugins. You can enable that application modernization and infrastructure for application modernization. On top, we also have your single pane of management type of infrastructure, whether you are managing your data on-prem, whether you are managing into the your near cloud, you can call it as a near cloud service provider, or you can have data onto the public cloud, wherever data is. We'll give you those services which will enable ground zero day, which is your converge, hyper-converge, those kind of infrastructure, bare metal, whatever, and will provide you whatever the required infrastructure services that can be used for your business applications. So in short, you can see here, we are focusing a lot on the infrastructure. Yes, so Hitachi Vantara primarily is a infrastructure providers. Whatever the data application or industries you have, we have a right infrastructure that we can provide, we can work together on. Which will, again, with the reference architecture perspective, it will work on the monolithic kind of applications if you are built on, say, SAP HANA or SAP. Or it could be your Oracle, or it could be any of these type, or now the modern applications like Kubernetes clouds and things like that. So we have a direct integration and reference architecture with those. So we provide you end-to-end stack that can help you to build your own data center services, which will finally end up to the SLAs from your businesses. That's what Hitachi Vantara has to offer. I hope this actually telling you what Hitachi Vantara is now and where we can think of getting the partnerships with. And we typically call it as a partnership. Prabhakar mentioned about all top X companies actually work with Hitachi Vantara, and because of this. So we have an end-to-end ecosystems. And the next we will talk about the key aspects of our products and why Hitachi Vantara is trusted by thousands and thousands of the customers worldwide. So we'll talk more about these fundamentals, data management and data protection infrastructure that Hitachi Vantara has to provide. And on top of that, everything is certified and with the referenced architectures end to end from Hitachi Vantara. Again, whatever comes through Hitachi Vantara, we are based on the outcomes that organizations are looking forward to. Highest performance in the industry. So whatever comes from Hitachi is performing the best in its own class. Whether it's a performance, we provide everything with an automation built in, so you can automatically do your storage operations. We don't want your teams to spend time in learning the technology than learning your own business. That is more important to you. So we'll provide a lot of automated ways to manage the infrastructure coming from Hitachi. Efficiency, everybody is talking about sustainability. It's a big part of sustainability is also efficiency. What is your power cooling requirements? What is the space requirements? Because space is one of the important aspects of cost saving. Do you have rack space available in your data? Most of the times we work with the customers, they have, hey, we are short of rack space. We don't have rack space anymore. To expand my rack space, I need to spend a lot of money. So efficiency is very important. So they are the key aspects. And on the right hand side, you can see a lot of unique points that Hitachi Vantara offers you from the infrastructure provider. First and foremost is 100% data availability. There was a question here, what is the data availability that, so it is data availability means whatever goes onto the Hitachi storage infrastructure, your applications will never lose access to that. If we lose the access, we are bound to pay you something as a credit, as a remediation. That's how we are so confident in the Hitachi technology. Again, the things of ransomware and things which actually came up earlier, yeah, that's a separate topic. It's more about the cyber attacks. So we have ways to protect even from cyber attacks. The technology enables you from immutability. So immutable copies of your data that will help you from attacking from cyber attacks or getting back to the good set of data quickly. Prabhakar mentioned about we have a SLA with a customer. They really had the cyber attack, ransomware attack. We recovered their entire data within 4 hours. There are 1,500 virtual machines running applications, recovered in 4 hours time. That's the lowest so far into the cyber attack world number from the timing perspective. So that's how strong the systems are. NQA and this we call the no question asked data reduction. So whatever the data goes into the server will require only half of the resources as a standard, but we can sign up to 4:1 data reduction. So we can say, okay, if you are raising that, your data requirements could be 1/4 of it physically. So you are saving on to a lot of money, power, cooling, space, everything. We have data protection. We can have multiple ways to make your infrastructure highly available. So you never have a downtime. If the entire site goes down or entire city goes down, we have multi-data center type of protections available. So we can offer you completely zero data loss solutions. Whatever happens, your applications will be getting data from somewhere with a very, very minimal disruption. So a lot of these advantages that you can get, and from the product perspective, the storage we have, again, all the things are same SLAs, same commitment, but the footprints could be different based on the scalability needs that you have. Not necessarily everybody needs a big monolithic, big systems, but they are interested into getting the same SLAs. So we are focusing more on SLAs than the size of the system. So on this top of the side, you can see on the side there are small boxes, which is typically the 2U systems, or we have on the large one, the big ones, racks for providing the data storage. So maximum performance, maximum data growth, maximum scalability, and maximum availability is what you are getting from Hitachi Vantara as a storage. Again, I have listed some of the things. Importing storage virtualization. We can use your existing infrastructure behind it, so you can give a consolidated view of all your assets. Like you have a server virtualization, maybe with VMware or Microsoft Hyper-V or IBM VIO, whatever the server virtualization you use, we can virtualize your storage environment. So if you have, say, X vendor storage, we can use Hitachi header on top of it. So you will get every access to Hitachi, and Hitachi is known for leaders in storage virtualization. So these are our rock storage platform. Again, the key thing we differentiate is the common operating system, as I mentioned, same SLAs across the entire range. We don't really classify everything as an enterprise class, not necessarily only for enterprise market. Whether it's a 10 TB storage or a 1 petabyte, multi-petabyte storage, we have everything. Whether you want to get, but our SLAs would remain same across the range. They're common operating systems, so they are interoperable. The small systems can talk with the large systems. So in the data protection world, how you're designing, you can have a bigger storage in your main data centers, you can have a smaller storage onto the other side, and they still can communicate with each other. So you can have a smooth data movement happening. I'll have one more slide, another one. The same capabilities we are also offering in a software-defined world. So we can have the same core operating system can be deployed on your choice of servers without investing a lot on a special purpose appliance. Or we'll be able to install the same operating system in a cloud instance, AWS, AC3 instance. So you are getting the same SLAs again, whether you got on-prem or on the cloud. The key things about the things I mentioned about the storage virtualization, again, multiple benefits of storage virtualization. If you're thinking, hey, I have too many silos, I want to make a single practice so that I can automate, I can put a full automation so that I don't have to spend time in monitoring these different technologies separately. So we can enable and consolidate everything with the storage virtualization. We can have continuous availability. Hey, I can't afford to lose my storage or my application, nothing. I want a continuous high availability with my application. You can, like, for example, if you are aware of the Oracle real application clusters, they give you almost like a fault tolerant kind of systems, right? So you can have multiple nodes having the common database. Anything goes down, your application is not impacted. But what if storage goes down? So we are also complementing it with the storage high availability. So you can have anything goes down, your application servers, your infrastructure, your building, everything goes down. You have no problem, everything runs fine. This can be extended further with a 3DC. So you can have a same metro, 2 data centers in one, maybe one in Hinjawadi, one in Kharadi. And third data center could be assigned in a different seismic zone. So everything happens to Pune, you still have a third site which is maybe in Bangalore or Chennai or Delhi. You're intact, your application is safe, your data is intact. So that's from the critical perspective. So that's what Hitachi also can offer. Again, very few vendors offer this. And we are there from the beginning, offering 20, again, Prabhakar mentioned that data availability guarantee 10 years. No, it's 20 plus years. So we are giving that 100% data availability guarantee more than 20 years in the industry. Nobody else is giving. Now there are some vendors have started talking about it. Ransomware is very important, cyber attacks. So whatever the equipments that we are getting it, we are safe. We have immutable storage so that you can make whatever the data goes in, we can lock it. So only authorized people can access it. If somebody access it, happens to the current set of data, we have some policy-driven immutability so that once you lock it, nobody else, even your super admins, your internal people, nobody will be able to do any changes to that. If you want to do that, you have to open a support ticket with Hitachi. Our engineering will generate a one-time password. Our engineer will come, do login, and then unlock it. Nobody else will be able to do anything with that. So it's a tamper-proof 100%. Hardened security. So we don't even allow, you have your own security policies possibly that who should access, who should not access, what port block. We have a completely hardening standards implemented in infrastructure management. Proven data protection, we offer in-system replication, outside the replication, everything in a more secured way, including immutability. And always on, so with our 100% data availability guarantee, the customers have really enjoyed a peace of mind. Otherwise, it's a big threat. If you lose the data, your business is going to have a big impact. You can okay to afford the server, losing the server infrastructure application, you can rebuild, but how do you rebuild your data? So that's how the Hitachi offers you as a complete protection against the security and cyber attacks. Multiple management approach depending on the type of application or infrastructure you choose. We give a very simplified and automated way to manage your entire infrastructure, whether it's if your choice of platform is VMware, we have integrations with VMware. So the entire Hitachi platform, including your day zero operation from a deployment all the way to your day-to-day routine management can be integrated with that. If it's a standalone, like a general purpose thing, then Hitachi has its own tools called Op Center Suite, who can actually manage the entire infrastructure end to end. It has integrations with servers and networks and things so that you can use your smooth and very simple way of automated management, which is AI enabled. So it does more smart way of managing the infrastructure. So for again, in the plugins perspective, we do plug into multiple technology like VMware, it could be Oracle, it could be Microsoft, it could be Kubernetes, containers, if you have Splunk, if you have anything, or even if it's a data protection, like if you're using Veeam or Veritas or Commvault or anything like that. So they all work smoothly with the Hitachi provided infrastructure with plugins. So it's a fully integrated stack with our converged and hyper-converged platforms. We have a full automated way of Hitachi UCP. We'll talk a lot bit on that. So in short, the way you choose your choice of platform, we have a right set of management tools that will ease out your day-to-day operations in a more smart and automated way. This is one of the products that goes with our infrastructure, which is automated AI-enabled analytics. So we talked a lot about analytics. You also need infrastructure analytics to make sure that your infrastructure is working as designed, as planned. There should not be any deviations. If there are any deviations, it needs to quickly send you an alert saying, hey, there's something fishy happening. It could be including some unwanted attacks, cyber attacks. It will start encrypting the infrastructure. You should be notified quick in advance, automatically, without you go and check it. So that's what analytics does. Automation is a fully workflow-based automation which will enable you end-to-end automation, including your own applications to be integrated with the infrastructure management. So it's a full automation. Data protection, whether you want to design your own data protection strategies, how do you want to take backups, where to keep the backups, do you want to do the replications, storage-based replications. All that can be orchestrated and automated using Protector and administration to simplify your day-to-day management. So all these are an integrated suite of the tools that actually comes with the Hitachi infrastructure that you would acquire. Again, from same to adhere to your business SLAs that can be aligned with the infrastructure SLAs. I talked about the capabilities. So this is our software-defined storage, which is not your VMware hyper-converged and all. No, it's a purely enterprise-class storage, which you will be installing that software, which has all the IP and all SLAs from Hitachi, onto bare metal servers. It could be your servers running x86-based servers, or now we have extended this even to run on the AWS EC3 instance. So it will enable you data replication from your on-prem to the cloud, so that you can get that. Only thing you have to see that, okay, you get that EC3 instance, but a set of data, you can move it there, so that if you want to get it back, of course, you can get it back with the storage-based technologies. So this is again having a lot of data protection with the Hitachi's patented polyphrase eraser coding, so that you make sure that your data is always intact and safe, even in the software-defined world. We extend the services beyond the data centers. So we tie up with a lot of CSPs. We have an offering called Hitachi Cloud Connect, which will work, again, we have a packaged services along with a data center provider called Equinix. So we have a tie-up with Equinix, but we do have arrangements with a lot of other data service providers like Yota or entities or something similar to that, AT&T and all. We can work together to make the same offerings of your choice of CSP, where you want to keep, you want to keep some data on your premises, but having a copy of data into your near cloud, and possibly from them, we can also have a third, which is sitting into the public cloud. So we can have integrations with the hyperscalers through that cloud service providers. With Equinix, it gets very close because it's a direct, tight integration. With others, we still have some services required to get that integration done. But we offer this seamless movement across the clouds for offering you the cloud extensions. This is the cloud on that. So depending on your choice of service providers, we can work together to give you a multi-cloud kind of environment where you can have data residing on your data center. A part of that data can go into your near cloud CSP provider, and part of the data can be on the hyperscalers of your choice, whether it's AWS or Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure or whatever. Again, you get the same. Important thing here is, rather than you are getting the same SLAs, same way of management, and same practices. That is the differentiator. So you need to have this strategy in place which will enable you to manage it as seamless as possible. That is the key here. So that you don't have to again come into a different situation or different problems. We want to avoid all these problems and make entire the ecosystem as smooth as possible. When it comes to the hyper-converged world, we just talked about the storage, but now we are beyond that. So we offer you a hyper-converged. If your strategy is to go with the hyper-converged, we do have products and solutions and services around that. Whether to make a converged infrastructure so that you are sure that I have a monolithic kind of application, I need to go with the traditional, so that I'll give my peace of mind with the SLA on the performance-driven SLA. So I will get a converged infrastructure. I will have a choice of my servers, storage, and networks. So that's our UCP on the left-hand side, the converged infrastructure with UCP is our unified compute platform, is the name of the solution that goes with it. So it gives you its own advantages. If you want to have more of a, say for example, VMware is your choice of, or say hyper-converged, I don't want to buy external storage, but I want to keep all of my applications on a virtual environment completely. Then we also tie up with VMware to give you the VMware-based hyper-converged solution, vSAN. And for that, we also have servers and tie up with VMware to give you the entire ecosystems. Or now I said, again, if your choice is, no, I will have my own Kubernetes cloud. Or I want to have my VMware Cloud Foundation, my own stuff on, or OpenStack Cloud, OpenShift, whatever you want to choose. Then I can also have a rack-scale infrastructure where we can give you all 1U to multiple use systems, maybe like 30, 40 servers or hundreds of servers in a single rack to find your own private cloud infrastructure of your choice. Again, we work with a lot of these ISV providers, whether it's SAP HANA, reference architected, or VMware, OpenShift, bare metal, Splunk, Oracle, Dockers, containers, whatever you choose. We have a right infrastructure that you could be using so that you get a fully automated data services around that. So that's what Hitachi again has to offer you. When it comes to, again, one of the interesting topics that always come in a discussion, what do I do with my unstructured data? My IT is all set with the structured data, means I know my application, business applications, I know my semi-structured data, which is typically my email systems or whatever. But now I get a lot of these social media data. What do I do with that? I get a lot of email attachments. What do I do with that? I have KYC, in a financial words, it's a KYC documentation. What do I do with that? If you have your own maybe employee management systems, I get a lot of information from my employees. What do I do? Where do I keep it? Do you keep it on the primary storage? Probably not. So you need to have things about the object storage, which is typically like a cloud storage. Maybe like a cheaper storage, but which will give you the SLAs. That's how the object storage concept comes in. So you have multiple ways that you can use object storage, whether it's you can keep it in the cloud, whether you need to have infrastructure that can support that S3 kind of a communication where I can move it to the cloud, or I can take this object storage as a backup, because object storage could be used as a backup-less architecture. When you have object storage, you don't need a backup system because everything you get with all those backup compliances in mind. Whether it's archiving, I want to archive some data for my longer retention period. And whenever I need it, I want to extract it back. It could be for analytics, it could be for reporting, it could be for anything. Or somebody wants, hey, I want to say now last 6 years data. I want to see what is the trend happening in last 10 years. Do I keep all the 10 years data in my primary storage? No, probably not. You'll keep it into some object storage. But what is the difference? Keep it in the cloud or in object storage. To get it in the cloud, you need to pay again. But if you have a cloud storage on-prem, which is object storage, which is Hitachi Content Platform, you can get the same. Plus, it has technologies which will do indexing of the files to have a quick access. So whenever you get the data back, it will do right searching and get you data very, very fast onto again primary. So those kind of things, again, hybrid cloud, analytics, multiple use cases that you can get with hybrid, and Hitachi has a full stack of object storage with Hitachi content platforms. It could be your a native. I mean, we started this. If you know, the Dropbox type of things came in initially, where you have I have a cloud, I have a Google thing. People started using it, right? Even at enterprises, companies. But now they realize, hey, that's not secured. So how do you put the similar functionalities in my organization as an enterprise class data repository, sync and share? So that's how our HTTP gateway and Hitachi HTTP Anywhere Edge came in. So it will have those kind of small tools, and at the central location we have object storage, where you can put the data, and whenever you need it, from wherever you want it, over the internet with the authorized access, maybe through VPN. It's an enterprise data repository. You can keep it. That's what the HTTP Anywhere also offers you. So you can have the clients on your mobile probably, which will have authenticated logins to your backend server, and you can fetch the data on where you're on the go, on the tabs, mobiles, you can use it. That's how we also use it. It's like your OneDrive, for example. Now Office 365 offers you that, right? But if you want your own personal private, which doesn't not need to go to the public cloud, you can have that. Content intelligence is like our intelligent search mechanism. So you can also use this content intelligence in your existing filers or your existing unstructured servers. It will get and identify, do the data classification, and also could move your data from your primary storage, which is expensive, to an object storage with a policy-based approach. All those things can be possible. Content software for file is offering you a very high performance file throughputs. Maybe you need some application, special HPC kind of environments where you need to have 100 gigabytes or 100 TB of throughputs for accessing a large files very, very fast. Then we also have those kind of high performance file systems that it can be used for those analytics AI use cases or some large data that you need to extract in a HPC kind of environment. So that we have. So a lot of these things which are available from Hitachi, which will have a different traditional ways of doing it or the modern ways. So we can mix and match. We don't want you to transform in day one. No, that's not what we are asking you, right? We want you to continue into that journey where you are today. How do you help us to get it better and get and adapt to the new technologies without much of a disruption? That's what is typically Hitachi is us to offer you. Again, going a way forward, we are announcing a new strategy called VSP1. We have announced it in last year, October. The first range of products, again, it's like a strategy. All of our next generation coming in, purely based on, we don't want to call it as a block storage, file storage, or object storage. No, we'll give you that product underline, but a user experience is very important. We'll give you, okay, your application demands X amount of storage. How do I give it? I don't care whether it's coming for block, file, or object. Now you can depend, okay, I need this strategy. I want my primary storage to use for my primary applications, move the data around, and give me the storage accordingly. Somebody was asking about which tools, some voice recording management. Yeah, so all these systems what we are talking about, they're all API, very rich in APIs. We have a demo which is already published shared in the LinkedIn YouTube videos, where we use a couple of technologies as a demo, by the way, and which is practically possible, is using chatbots, for example. It's like you type what you want, and the system will automate and give that service to you. We have recently published a video on Siri. Hey Siri, give me 10 TB tier 1 storage for my application. Okay, it will go and do those required thing in the background, and outcome is user will get that storage. We already have all these capabilities today implemented. And that is not just a DEM storage, it uses AI. So it checks where is the storage available. Is it available? Is it as per the SLA that is required, that is asked? And then it will carve out and give it. So it's all smart. So these are tools which are available. And again, tools is one is APIs. Do we have a right APIs and plugins to plug in so that my tool, whatever I choose, can I use it and integrate with that? So that's the more thing from our perspective. Yes, we have those kind of APIs, full-fledged APIs that you can use, leverage. So that's how the VSP1 platform, the first product that is going to be launched, which is our software defined for cloud as a VSP1 SDS cloud. We have VSP1 on-prem today, software defined, but as a part of this, by end of February, we are actually releasing the same operating system called Hitachi Storage Virtualization Operating System, which is running on our enterprise storage. Same will be running into the AWS, so that we will enable the data replication between your on-prem to the cloud as under a VSP1 platform, which is coming up. So as we are going over, the next generation of each of our current technologies are getting plugged into our VSP1 strategy. So you'll get a full-fledged experience. So that's our also vision going forward, and this is actually committed vision. So in the next 1 year time, we will have everything as a single VSP1 strategy, whether it's a block, file, or object, or converge, hyper-converge, anything what you have, which will under the same management automation platform. From routes to the market, again, somebody asked, how do I acquire it? Yeah, you have ways. You can go with your typical model of acquisition, all CapEx, or we have a very compelling offering into the OpEx now. If you want to go utility-based model and a fully managed services, again, multiple options in managed services, whether you own infrastructure, we own infrastructure. If we own, then who wants to manage it, you or us? Or if you own it, then do you want to manage yourself, or do we manage for you? All those kind of infrastructure, end-to-end ecosystems around that is fully packaged with Hitachi. So we can work out a right model which is good and fitting for your own business objectives. That's what Hitachi can bring to you. Again, these are some tie-ups. So like we have a very tight integration, partner ecosystems. You name probably these are, plus there are others also. These just to name, not limiting to these, but you name your own. Plus our APIs are available and so powerful that they can integrate into very different type of technologies that you may be using for your own business applications. Last but not least, when it comes to sustainability, I think a lot of people here from manufacturing, right? You tell me any manufacturing who's not working on sustainability, everybody. Other than manufacturing, whatever the people we are talking to, whether it's a banks, whether it's a telcos, or whether it's a manufacturing, everybody has a mandate to now, almost like, I don't know whether it's a mandate, but everybody is including in their annual reports about the sustainability initiative that everybody is talking about, green and things like that. Hitachi, so this is an example of the carbon emission, but just to tell you that we follow sustainability standards at the level of Hitachi, which is a very big conglomerate. All aspects of Hitachi manufacturing is adhering to sustainability standards. One of the things is Hitachi manufactured in Japan, which is 38% lower carbon emitting than anywhere in the world. Our distribution center, our factories are end-to-end sustainability followers. We are doing our own power generations, waste management and things like that, including the inception from the raw material all the way to the logistics. So we are following all the, and there is an open statement from Hitachi by 2030, Hitachi wants to become a carbon neutral company. So Hitachi is focusing a lot, and everything what goes from Hitachi is following the sustainability standards. And we are the lowest in the carbon emission. This is just an example what is manufactured from Hitachi. So in nutshell, to summarize, Hitachi can be your partner as your journey to adoption of the digital. Some of you might already adopted some standards, some are thinking of adopting, but at any point of stage, Hitachi can give you an agile platform which could be really easily pluggable into your whatever the states you are in. It's interoperable, so we do operate with multiple technologies and services that of your choice that could be plugged in. And obviously, we can give you a fully scalable architecture from all aspects, whether it's a performance, capacities, and things like that. I don't know we have time for question answers, but okay. Yeah, so we will be very happy to answer questions now or in the network. Sure.
When you talked about immutability,
Immutability.
immutable storage, so that concept-wise it goes a lot closer to blockchain. So how do they two compare? Of course, blockchain is for public. This is for enterprise. I can understand that.
Correct.
But,
So
yeah.
actually slightly different. Blockchain is more coming from the chains and having the AI related stuff, right? That's what you are coming to. Immutability here I am talking about when you are writing a data, it should not be changeable. Right? So whenever you get data, so there are multiple technologies that are used typically to offer the mutability from the infrastructure perspective. So what we are doing is locked copies. So whatever you create a copy of the data, we have ways, the best way to make closer to your reduced RTO, recovery time objective, because that is important when you want to recover it, right? One thing is, can you stop ransomware attack? Can anybody say that confidently, okay, I will never have a ransomware attack? Can anybody say yes? No, nobody can, right? So what is impossible is how quickly you can recover it back. So in that case, the technology's immutability, what we offering is we are locking out the copy of the data. We are not locking primary, otherwise you will not work. If you lock primary, then you are safe. Nobody can, but you can't operate then. So we can take a copies of the data based on the SLAs that you have, like whatever is the recovery point objective that you have, how long you are afford to lose the data or let the data go. Based on that, it could be maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 hour, whatever. So at that point of interval, we'll lock the copies. If you want to take a full clone and lock, not useful, because if your attack happens on the primary copy, if you're taking a copy of that, it will be attacked. So that's not useful. So what we have is more like a snapshots. So we can take a snapshots, we can keep the change data somewhere else, and snapshot is nothing but pointers, and snapshot enables you to go back in time. So if ransomware attacks at one point of time, we have already taken snapshot. If we identify that point, we say, okay, ignore the changes, and you are going back to the original. But it is easy to say than done. How do you identify, first of all, when ransomware attack? Because there is a mutation time. Ransomware attacks, it will just sit there for nothing. Then it will end that mutation or that called incubation time, incubation period. It is active. It will actually go silently on the network, find out what activities are happening, who are connected, how the data is coming, where they are storing, everything they will study. And then they will activate. So that's a big time. So you need to define a policy, and you need to have a right monitoring of the tool. That's why this AI-enabled monitoring comes in picture. It identifies some suspicious activities happening, and it will only alert you. So your job now, your application, to go and check, hey, what's happening? So we can help you to orchestrate all these things with our ISV provider. So we have a tie-up with an American company called VM 2020. They have a cyber VR as a solution that gets integrated with our data protection storage base. So we do that checks and happening. So it actually has, it can work with say Oracle or VMware and things like that. Will identify if that is happening and changing anything on my database.
So Mandar, if I can just ask if there's one last question from the
sure.
audience.
I hope
then,
that answered.
Yes.
It does.
Yeah.
And similarly, when you have your file storage or object storage, so you have your own API that we need to use in our programs to access those, unarchive that, access the content, etc.
Okay,
Or
so
how does it go?
maybe I need to understand what exactly you mean, but in a shorter way, yeah.
So programmatically, if I want to access that data, for example, I want to retrieve some
From your application.
from my application, a custom application, or the files written in your specialized VFS storage. So, is there your own specific proprietary API that I need to use in my application?
Okay, so two aspects. One is your primary data sitting on your primary storage, correct? second, your application accesses it. So if you're talking about object storage, then we need somebody to identify and move the data to object storage. So we do work with a lot of ISVs and document management systems, so that they use the APIs to move the data to the object storage. It could be your application, but the best part again is, if there is no direct integration, we can work with the ISV to actually certify that if you are looking for certification, or it has APIs that it can use to identify that state of the data and move it to the object storage and retrieve it whenever you want.
So I'm sorry to obstruct. Yeah, you can
Yeah,
take
sure.
this conversation offline, please. Anyone last question, please, from the audience, or we can wrap up the session. All right. So thank you so much, Mandar, for that interaction and the session. Most thankful to the audience here who has been so interactive and rapt in attention. Thank you for your precious time. We would love to thank our speakers and the distinguished guests who have been a part of this session. I hope we have been able to give some conversation to your journey in terms of clarity and address some challenges that you all must be looking at, day to day in your organization as being employees of various other organizations looking at similar journey of digital transformation. Thank you once again.